When I think about Chardonnay, I sort of break it down across the state. There's a North Coast area, there's a Central Coast area, and there's a South Central Coast area. Up in the far North Coast, you're really looking at northern Sonoma County, the Sonoma Coast area, the Petaluma Gap area, and then areas of the Russian River that hug the coast moving slightly inland. Here, the wines tend to have both a very strong acid backbone, a lot of citric character, but increasingly levels of tree fruit and stone fruit. As you move towards the Central Coast, it gets a little bit richer. You're going to find tropical fruits, you'll find a lot of pineapple, you'll find a lot of melon character. Finally, we hit the South Central Coast, and here's where we hit the areas like Santa Barbara, Santa Ynez, the Santa Rita Hills. Interestingly, even though you're further south and frankly closer to Los Angeles than San Francisco, there are these two transverse mountain ranges that actually pull cool air in from the Pacific Ocean and moderate the temperatures. Not all Chardonnay is, of course, grown along the coastline, and there are some areas that are inland that are known for producing Chardonnay too. Specifically around the delta areas of Lodi, Clarksburg, and even Livermore, you're going to find really good Chardonnay made. To me, the biggest change that we've seen in Chardonnay in California over the last couple of decades has been a diversification of styles. The new California style of Chardonnay represents a rainbow of different interpretations of what we're seeing. So we'll see unoaked styles, wines made in stainless steel. They're certainly just about the purity of fruit. We'll see wines that are using oak, but are using older oak, larger oak, neutral oak, that allow the fruit character to shine through while still using the wood elements to, of course, add texture, roundness, and richness. And of course, you're still going to find people who are making old-fashioned style, but that old-fashioned style is very popular with a lot of people. The Chardonnay I've chosen to taste with you today actually is here for two reasons. First off, it's from Livermore. And Livermore has a very special place in the fact that the Wente clone, one of the heirloom selections of the grape variety that represents a huge portion of premium Chardonnay in the state, came from Livermore and in fact came from Wente Winery, where we're having our wine today. This particular wine also additionally is made unoaked. As such, it's going to preserve the typicity of fruit that one would find in Livermore. Let's see what that is. Being from a warmer climate, you're going to find in Livermore a much riper character of fruit. Think more golden delicious apples, think brown pears, think riper citrus along the lines of tangerine, almost pushing orange. You'll find some tropicality here, but not necessarily as bright and pungent as you might down in the Central Coast, say around Monterey. This wine has been only in stainless steel. What does that mean? That means you're not going to pick up any of the textural elements that spending time in wood will bring to Chardonnay that is so much hallmark to that. However, it does preserve the absolute unabashed purity of the fruit. So all those flavors we just talked about, a wonderful slicing acidity in there that's going to make it extremely food friendly, but make this wine more akin to other unoaked Chardonnays one would find around the world in places like, say, Chablis or even the Maconnais of France. So if you can't find this specific wine, you don't need to necessarily rush out to Livermore. There's great examples of Chardonnay around the state. However, if you want to get into where I was coming from, do make sure that the bottle of Chardonnay that you choose is unoaked or just made in stainless steel.